Welcome to the Jesus Over Everything podcast, connecting the power of God's Word to everyday life. Welcome to the Jesus Over Everything podcast. Today, we are going to talk about dating. I am here with Ronnie Goebel, Natan Abiyan. We talk about these things because we want to serve our churches by bringing the Word of God into contact with daily life. Dating. All right, so pop quiz right away. I told you, I warned you. How many people have you dated in your life, Ronnie?
Truly, I think by the definition we're going to talk about today, only Caitlin. Did I really date? I had some people that were considered my girlfriend briefly in middle school. It's like...
All right. There's a politician's answer.
Yeah. Very nice.
Here we go.
My answer is twofold. So, first, I only dated Karen. That was my only girlfriend. And second, that statement is a lie.
Okay.
And that's
Let the record show I
that's my
only dated
answer.
Karen. Don't trust the record. Okay. Yeah, so, me too then. I guess since we're playing word games, I only dated Abby in my life. Okay,
right.
so maybe that actually...
Who did you want to date, though? You know?
No, I didn't want to date anybody
okay,
but Abby.
all right,
Yes.
all right,
I technically had a girlfriend, rest in peace, who she didn't actually die. She's dead to me. She's dead to me. She's dead to me. But this actually touches on the whole topic's fluidity. Okay, Ronnie, wait a second. You dated some girls in middle school maybe, or they thought they were your girlfriend. So what is dating? What's the let's define it. What is dating?
what is dating.
Natan?
Well, so first, can I ask you, what is dating like according to our culture, to the world?
Yeah.
Right.
What is it?
What do people
Yes.
mean by dating?
By dating, yeah.
Okay, what do you think, Ronnie?
I think what people mean by dating is you've got a friend, usually of the opposite sex, and that doesn't have to be anymore according to culture. And I think it's like recreational. Like this is a fun. The goal is recreation. The goal is fun. The goal is friendship. The goal is romance. The goal is sex. Like it's dating is kind of like it's a friend. The end goal is that. The end goal isn't commitment, marriage, any of those things. It's recreation. That's how
Really?
that's how I would describe it.
Romantic entertainment.
And I think that's probably how I thought of it. Because even if I think about like dating somebody in middle school, it's like, if you're dating somebody in middle school, what you probably mean by dating is there's a guy or a girl that you like and you're trying to be romantic with them, but you're not thinking about marriage
Right.
in middle school. So
Right. Well, you just said a phrase that I think is really good. What did you say?
Romantic entertainment.
Romantic entertainment.
yeah, that's what. Yeah, recreation, entertainment. Yeah,
Recreational romance. That's what our world thinks of dating.
yeah.
I think
something like that.
I
What
think
do you
that's
think?
helpful. No, I think that's actually very helpful.
And there's some non-Christians that older that probably are dating with the goal of marriage, and that would be a little bit different.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I even think that there'd be plenty of people that are not Christians that would think marriage is something they aspire to someday, but like that's not what they're thinking in like every dating relationship they're in. It's almost like this blend of like, oh yeah, dating is like this fun romantic entertainment, and then like, but I would like to settle down someday, and maybe this person's the one, maybe they're not, but they're not probably thinking when they're dating every time, hey, the goal of this is marriage, or at least the goal of this one is marriage,
Yeah.
It might be something later on in life, but
And,
Right.
And you can see that in many comedy shows. I don't know what you call it, like not soap operas, but like the 20-minute type of show. Sitcom. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. How there's always a moment when they're dating, and after 6 months or 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, it's like, hey, where is this going?
Right.
And there's always that comedic episode about the man trying to answer where is this going, and he's got no idea of where the relationship is going, and the woman wants like a clear answer, and there's no answer.
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a trope that does come up in a lot of sitcoms.
Yep.
And then the other one of like because it's just, I enjoy this person. Some characters trying to maintain dating with two people at once, right? And they end up at the same party. running in and out, right? We've all seen that sitcom episode and whatever thing. So I guess then, to me, that sounds very incompatible with the Christian worldview. Is it compatible to can dating be Christian then? If you give me that definition, like recreational romance or what did you call it? Romantic entertainment?
Romantic entertainment. Yeah.
That sounds. I don't want to get into all of why, but can Christians date then?
Yes.
Okay, so Christians can date, but can they date in that category? What needs to change between our worldview of dating and
I mean, if we want to jump in and start going this way, I think that you got to start with what's the goal of dating, and then in order to figure out what the goal of dating is, you got to ask, well, why? Like who would say that, or where would that come from?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So
good.
Do we want to go there?
Yeah.
Or?
So let's hear. Natan has a definition of dating that I think you might be. I think it's better than the culture's definition of recreational romance, if we're accepting that. What's your definition?
So my biblical definition of dating, it's dating is a period of investigation or an investigative period for the purpose of marriage.
Yeah.
Where a man and a woman, and this is like a parenthesis of the definition, a man and a woman claim themselves to be romantically excluded from the rest of the world. So a man and a woman decide,
like, you're my boyfriend, I'm your girlfriend.
Right. We are romantically excluded to each other for now so that we can investigate the idea of marriage to one another.
Love Island.
Yeah.
They go to Love Island.
Which now I would say that can be very fun.
Yeah.
It can be enjoyable. It can be all those things.
Yes.
That's where it's like the world's understanding of dating is not pointed towards the right goal. It stops too short at recreation and an entertainment and all that. Right?
Yeah.
So that's where it's like, even earlier, it's like, could this be compatible? You could be listening and say, oh yeah, dating can be really enjoyable. You can do even many similar things that you'd be doing.
Right.
But it's just, what's it all for? What's it all going towards?
Yeah, that's what. Go ahead.
Yeah, even in that definition, when I was trying to come up with it, I was wrestling with this idea of where they become romantically excluded from the rest. Can you investigate the idea of marriage with more than one person at the same time?
Yeah.
Right? Like, can you seriously date 3-4 humans thinking, yeah, I'm studying trying to investigate the idea of marriage with these 4 people at the same time?
Yeah. What do you think, Dave? Can you?
I mean, maybe in a different culture, but I don't think in our culture that would be terms that people would accept.
Yeah.
You know, like if somebody were saying, I mean, I guess that's why they have the shows like The Bachelor and stuff. People are doing that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that it's healthy.
Yeah.
But it seems like the understanding of the preparation and investigation towards marriage in our culture is that someone would kind of singularly investigate. And maybe somebody's listening who would be uncomfortable with how I'm couching that, because I don't see anything in Scripture that would require someone to investigate marriage with only one person at a time. That you can only be married to someone.
Right.
But like if you went out on, in our culture's terms, a date and investigated marriage, then you went out on a date with someone else to investigate marriage, I don't see any biblical principle that's qualified. It seems like there would be a breach of trust in our culture if you called yourself dating.
Yeah.
And then we're going out investigating marriage with someone else.
Yeah.
So that's just a cultural thing, because I think that does match your, like, they're pursuing marriage or maybe the secular world and entertainment. The other thing you said I think was helpful, but so the goal, but also, man, the operating system of at least our individualistic and kind of indulgent culture is self-focused. So there might be other cultures where there's not as much of a goal. I think often those are connected.
Not as much of a goal of marriage, you're saying?
Yeah, so I think the goal of marriage and the object of building a household and a family and all these things actually keeps it from being as individualistically indulgent. But one of the problems in our culture is that we could really be measuring it like, well, how much fun am I getting out of this person? How much sex, how much, dates, pleasure, whatever. And that is so
Yeah, yeah.
another instance of the problem in our culture.
Yeah, what you're saying is without the goal of marriage in view, it's gonna devolve into that.
It's
Of
going to
just
devolve
like it
into an
should-
entertainment thing. Yeah.
Right. It's like almost has to be that because what else is the point? It could be a mutually. Hey, the goal here is that we mutually benefit each other.
Yeah.
By mutually enjoying each other. But
Yeah.
if there isn't this goal of the mutual service of marriage and then the creation of a family and all that kind of stuff, then that's not all you're left with.
And even that sounds like friendship when you say, "Oh, we mutually enjoy and each other's company and benefit each other." Well, that can be. There's a lot of people that can fit into that category.
Right.
But then this idea that the romantic indulgence or building a marriage seems to be the dividing line between Christian and non-Christian, I think. So how do you want to... You're saying investigation rather than entertainment is the difference?
Yep.
And
So basically what I'm saying is, as clear as I can make it, don't date if you're not ready to get married.
or interested in getting married? What do you think about that?
Interested in getting married? Yeah, but if you say, I don't think I'm going to be ready to get married in the next 5 years,
Yeah.
right? So like, let's say 13-year-old, right?
Yeah.
14-year-old.
Okay. I was
Says-
like, what kind of person is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
14-year-old thinks, I'm interested in getting married. Yeah, but you're not going to,
Right.
you know, in the next 4 years at least.
Right.
Right. So no reason for you to date. Like, no, I wanna investigate marriage, you know, with this person at age 14.
Yeah.
I'd say this is my personal opinion. Okay.
Yeah,
I'd say
yeah.
you don't need 4 years to investigate this.
At least maybe not 4 years as like an exclusive couple,
Right.
that's
Right.
spending alone time together and all these things.
Right.
But maybe you could
Right.
say, hey, what you should call this right now is friendship
Be
with
friends.
somebody.
Be
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
May-
That's where even earlier when you were talking about distinguishing between going on dates with different people
Yeah.
versus then exclusively being like we're dating.
Right.
That's two
Right.
different things. You could go on some dates with different people, but then there's somebody you pick to be exclusive with.
Right. And I think that that's some of that, like going on a date or going on an outing is a great exercise for somebody younger. My parents made us go to the banquets and whatever and take a date. But it was different than that investigation for marriage. It was like teach you how to be a gentleman,
Right.
open the car door, get some flowers.
It was
you
like
know,
an age-appropriate preparation for what would come later.
for
in
how to
life.
interact
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
somebody of the opposite sex, you know.
Yeah.
So, Chris, do you have anything you want to investigate further about his definition or challenge or?
Say your definition one more time, just to.
Dating is a period of investigation towards marriage between a man and a woman where they are romantically excluded for the rest of their community.
Yeah. Well, yes. The only thing I would add is I think the excluding from everybody else part does make sense at a certain point in
Yeah.
dating because that's what marriage is going to be. And if dating is preparing you for marriage, then you're going to help yourself get prepared for marriage by being like, okay, I'm going to stop flirting with all these other people
Yep.
and only pursue
Right.
this one.
Right.
Yep.
Right? That's like if you can't do that yet, then
Right.
you're probably not mature enough to be married.
I think that's when that moment when you say, okay, I'm not gonna flirt with anybody else. I think that's when a friendship turns into dating.
Okay.
When you're
Yes.
exclusive.
Because you can investigate marriage with a friend, potentially, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Potentially, like you can have a good friend. And you're like, hey, what do you like? What do you like? You know, what's your church? Where are you a member of? Are you growing? Are you reading the Bible? You
Right.
know, follow on counsel. And you're like, okay, I'm investigating this person to see if I can get married. Potentially, you could not even date at all. You know, you're super good friends, best friends. Boom, ring. Let's go.
Worst friends.
Right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think dating is basically when you tell this friend,
Yeah.
listen, if someone approaches me with romantic purposes, I'm going to say, not right now, because I'm checking these with you.
And I'd like you to do the same.
And I'd
Yeah.
like you to do the same
Now,
thing.
if you were later in life, older, you're not in a scenario where you're just kind of organically making friends, like maybe in school, in middle school or high school. You might go on a date with somebody before you ever have become friends with them.
Right.
And their starting point might be, hey, we're going to investigate friendship, dating, maybe a little bit closer together. Would you say?
Yeah, I
If you're
think.
in your
Well, I
20s
think
or
that
30s?
I think that separation of going on a date
Yep.
from the word dating is helpful because Yeah, you might go on one. I'm going to get to know you, and it is trying to head somewhere, but it's not exclusive. That one meal is exclusive. I'm having dinner just with you, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting. You used the word investigation. You used, and it may not have been on purpose, but you used the word preparation. Do you feel comfortable with dating being a preparation for marriage? As like a test, not a test run, because I know our culture, we're going to talk about purity, and we don't, that is a dangerous part of our culture, is preparation being like, date as if you're, be exclusive as if you're married, move in together, and then see if you want to get married. Well, that's clearly unbiblical. We can go to the passages of scripture in a little bit, but off the rip, 1 Thessalonians 4 says sexual immorality is not God's will for your life, right? But what about like if, let's say, one of your children, we don't need a name, but like let's just say they want to grow in the contours of a relationship, but not necessarily like I think I want to marry this person. I just want to date someone.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That's where I think dating is preparation for marriage in the sense that you are learning and doing some of the kinds of things that you'll do when you're married, or like I'm learning how to be exclusive and committed to this one person.
Yeah.
You're right. But I would say there's probably an age and a stage of this where it's like, hey, you don't need to like practice dating a bunch of different people.
Yeah.
But what would be good for you is to learn how to be a good friend, learn how to interact with the opposite sex.
Yeah.
And to learn how to interact with the opposite sex doesn't mean, hey, you need to go date a bunch of girls.
Right.
I don't think it would have to be that. I think that you could for sure meet somebody in middle school that you are friends with and you grow with and you start dating in high school and then you guys get married years later. That could for sure happen.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's like that person had a total leg up on everybody else because they had a lot of practice.
No, I have a bunch of buddies from high school who married high school sweethearts, but yeah, I agree. Or hey, I want to get that experience. So you mentioned singular dates. Hey, go on singular dates. But I don't love, personally, I'll just lay my cards on the table. I really don't like the idea of parents encouraging a dating relationship that they know has no trajectory involved. So yeah.
As practice even.
Yeah, it's just a high school. So what? They're both going to go to different colleges and they'll probably break up. But so what?
Why would that?
To me, that is neglectful. Is the word I'll use. I don't want to say it's sinful or something, but I think it's neglectful of the first to the Lord, of the calling and the priorities he gives us in that. I think we should be others oriented. And if somebody is kind of playing, hey, make me feel less lonely and make me feel, like it'd be nice, and not anticipating any kind of proactive service towards this person.
Right.
That's dangerous. And then Timothy's told, treat sisters in the Lord with absolute purity.
Right.
I just look at it and go, all the wins you want relationally are available for being really good friends. Be a great friend to the girls in the youth group with you, and a brother in the Lord. And take them, go out on a date that is a clearly, hey, for me, I grew up in a setting where you have to invite somebody to the banquet. It's like prom for Christian schools, right? Whatever. You have to invite somebody. There was no strings attached for most of those dates. In fact, I took one of my buddies, several of my buddies' wives now, I guess, right? Like we went to these things because you had to take a date, and they were nice girls. And,
and
now
I feel like that, if dating is recreation, that just feels totally strange and like depriving almost. Cause it's almost like, well, you're going to tell me I'm not going to have
a crush.
My kid, like he's in sports, or she's in sports and she's in band and she does all these fun things, and she's not going to get to have the fun of a boyfriend too. Right.
Right.
If you think of it that way as recreation, that's why it doesn't compute.
That's interesting to show how much I grew up in a certain worldview, because I never have thought about it like recreation that to that degree.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I'll answer that.
That's really
why,
helpful.
Why not do that? So like the so what question. And again, this one date, and I think the difference between one date and dating, that makes sense. But in my definition that I was thinking, like if someone jumps on Tinder, which seems to be like in 2025 what you do, you go to, and we have a couple of marriages in our church, successful, great marriages that started in social media apps that, right?
Oh, same.
But you go to the social media app thinking, okay, it looks to me like this is the easiest way to find a wife. So even that one date that didn't lead to marriage, so the period of investigation was 2 hours.
Yeah.
The period of investigation was the dinner, and then you guys realize, no, this is not going to happen, and then that's it. And then you find the next one and the next one and the next one on Tinder.
Right.
But you're with that goal of saying, okay, I wanna go towards marriage. I'm not just doing it for the recreation of the fun.
Yeah, I'm bored or I'm lonely or
exactly.
whatever. Yeah.
And go ahead.
Well, the problem with why not date just for the fun of it, or what's the problem with just the recreational dating? I'd say it's that God has created us to be affectionate beings. We have hearts.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of. Is you're going to hurt somebody.
Hearts have emotions and affections. And all through the Bible, hearts get tied to things and people. And then it's very hard to untie them, right? So think about alcoholics, right? For example, right? Can you enjoy one drink? Sure. It's a sinful. No, one, depending on your position, right? But then you develop this affection, this liking, this taste for this thing, and then you get in real trouble, right? So the Bible describes David and Jonathan's hearts being tied, right? They were really good friends. And then their departure, their goodbye was very painful, right?
Yeah.
Proverbs 23:26. So this is the writer writing to his son. We don't know how old the son was, but it was old enough to be thinking about ladies. That's for sure. That's clear through the book. And it says, Proverbs 23:26, my son, give me your heart, and let your eyes delight in my ways. For an adulterous woman is a deep pit, and a wayward wife is a narrow well. Like a bandit, she lies in wait and multiplies the unfaithful among men. So this father is clearly saying, hey,
keep your eyes locked in.
Before your heart gets tied to the heart of a woman, tie your heart to me and follow my counsel, and I will lead you to a good wife. Because if you don't watch out, your heart might get tied to a person, to a human that you don't want your heart tied in. And we've all seen that. We're pastors, right? Yeah. We've all seen, couples that they're obviously not good for each other. They're harming each other. They're either dating or engaged or whatever, and they're harming each other. And just like, hey, you need to break up with that person, and they just can't, right?
Right.
Like this is obvious. They are leading you on the straight path and away from
especially
church in your community,
already.
right?
Oh yeah,
it's the bond.
If this was just a recreational thing, just stop the recreation.
Go play a different game,
right?
Yeah.
No,
find a different hobby.
Exactly, their hearts are now tied.
Right. Yeah, and people get really hurt, and you don't. I mean, there's no prospect of likely the judgment on whether this is a good investigation on marriage is flawed too, because you're evaluating as an immature person, another immature person, and the character and substance that you want to be a part of building a life is not yet formed. So it could just be dangerous. Yep. What were you going to say?
Well, that goes to something I've been thinking about that we've been kind of hinting at, is that seems like the wisest way to go about dating then is actually in a community of wise people.
Yeah.
And people that are older than you. We're talking about fathers giving advice here.
Yeah.
We're dating. Here's the kind of thing I'm thinking about. I think a question that comes up is like, okay, do I make a rule that my son or daughter can or can't date?
Yeah.
Right? Do I have the right to do that? Like, could I say that to them?
Yes.
Well, I would just say, I mean, should you is a question differently, but the Bible's unequivocally clear. Yes, you can.
Okay.
Right? Children obey your parents and everything, which is the first promise. I would just think like, of course, a parent can command a child not to do something. And I know that sounds crazy when you think about dating in our culture, but it's like, oh my goodness, we've so eroded the role of parents that it's like, you could tell them a ton of things. Now, the prudence of how you exercise your authority. I grew up in a home that didn't allow me to date. I think that if my parents or my brothers listen to this, it'll be interesting what they remember, because it seems like the rule changed across the brothers. I'm the oldest. Okay, it seems like some of the other guys had girlfriends, so I know I wasn't allowed. All right.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I actually really deeply respect it, not as a moving of the rule or inconsistency. I think it was a nuanced pastoring of my heart. I can tend to be an all-in, over, not exactly a slow person with my, so I'm glad they held me up.
To have input from your parents or from other wise older people in your life on not even just dating in general, but like if you're ready and all that, if you don't have that influence, you definitely are going to have the influence of peers and just looking around. Because I can just remember what it feels like as you start to get older, you start to notice the opposite sex, and they're just kind of like people start to date, and so you're just kind of looking around, going like, okay, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
And if I'm not doing it, is there something wrong with me?
Right.
Or if I'm not doing it, am I missing out? And if that's the only input that you have, then that's the input that you're going to follow. But then if you also have some other voices saying, hey, actually, there's people at your age that are dating, but let me give you this other perspective. You now have another path to consider.
I'm thankful I wasn't allowed, even though it was a war. Okay, it was a war back then, and I'm thrilled with what they chose, and I'm glad they fought the fight. And I'll tell you an example. If somebody wanted to have like a living example of it, I think about, so I grew up in an area, oddly enough, maybe it's just the blue-collar remnants of downriver. Like 2 Saturdays ago, I spent all Saturday with my buddies, and all of them married high school sweethearts, basically. And all are local, and we all have kids. And I am so thankful that in some ways I have a lot of ladies who are believers who I cherish a childhood with and like a history with as my friends, who I don't have a tarnished, or I didn't lose the history we have because of the plagues of immaturity and the reality of what happens with dating. I don't, like I said, dead to me, that girlfriend, we don't keep up, right? That opened large and closed large in college. And most people don't have a sister in the Lord, cherish your upbringing with an ex-girlfriend. But I have a bunch of people I grew up with that are, now my buddies' wives or whatever, where I'm like, man, it's great. We're just childhood friends, And I think that was partly because my parents were very specific and aggressive about nobody got exclusive attention. And I think they probably usually use the word indulgent attention, because my dad would just say, listen, I know you're not providing for anybody. So if you want them to be exclusively committed to you, it's all about you. And
that's a way of saying you're not ready yet. You're not ready for this responsibility. That's what I was going to say earlier is the more that you realize how dating is a means to an end of marriage, you have to start to evaluate like, okay, is these choices of this teenager are connected to the institution of marriage and all of the consequences of that. And like this is about them, this is about that other person, but this is also about marriage. Right. And we have to shepherd people to take that to be ready for that responsibility, even if they're way down on the beginning stages of the investigating part. And we're gonna fight. Our culture's winds prioritize so profoundly only the heart and the entertainment and the value and the feeling. Whereas another culture might be maybe more biblical in not everything, but in the sense that they'd be saying, oh, there's a lot of outside factors that are really important to consider in marriage. Because, what do you mean outside factors?
Well, so let me back up. In dating, it's all about your heart because of that romantic entertainment. Right? But to pursue marriage is inherently to pursue building a life together, making lives, families, and relating with households, right?
The economy, children.
Right. So there's all these things that inherently, all of a sudden, they put pressure on the question in a way that leads to wisdom. Like if I just want to be entertained by somebody, it's like, well, what do you find entertaining? You know, what attractive? What do you like? Is that girl attractive? That's the only question.
Another way of saying what you're saying is like the recreational dating model is not good for civilization.
Right.
No. Yeah, exactly.
It's not actually good for the world because it's not leading to strong and healthy marriages and families, and then therefore economies, societies, all that. Yeah.
Oh,
and you see it. You ask people that have been dating for a year or something in the recreational model, and then so they say, yeah, we've been dating for a year, and then you ask them, oh, okay, do you agree about how to handle money? No. Do you have you talked about children in the future? No. What do you think about where you're gonna live? Oh, no. Wait. So what were you doing? Well, were we just having fun? Mm-hmm. So that's why I put that word investigation, right? Because you want to answer all of these questions, see if you agree, right?
Yep.
Right.
Well, and the thing we have kind of mentioned a little bit of, it's like there's so much of the way the recreational model of dating is basically friendship. Okay, with somebody who's of the opposite sex, but then including the physical intimacy in the sex, probably.
Right.
So friends with benefits.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. So it's interesting to think, so much besides the sex part that people are after in the recreational model of dating is actually could be had in just learning how to be a good friend.
Right.
Even just the having fun parts. Like, have some friends.
Have some friends and have some fun.
You don't need to kiss them.
And none of the boy, our culture says friends with benefits, and Proverbs says friends with boiling hot lava in your crotch, right? Like, can a man take fire into his lap and not be burned? Mm-hmm. You want to have sex before marriage. It's like, please burn my genitalia off. That's what Proverbs is saying, son. Mm-hmm. That's what it means. And you're like, slow down. This is not beneficial.
Why is that?
What?
Why does it burn your genitalia, or what?
Can a man take fire into his lap and not be burned? Right?
Yeah. What do you think the proverb is saying there? Why that imagery to describe sex before marriage?
If you play with fire, you gonna get burned.
Okay.
That's what I think he's saying.
You're playing with fire. That's why this idea of the heart. I'd say if you have very close friendships with the opposite sex, right? If you say, okay, we're not gonna date, she or he is just my very, very good friend. I'd say, for sure, go ahead, do it. But always keep a check if there are romantic inclinations, romantic affections in your heart or the other person's, because you don't want to hurt each other. So if this is going to be a friendship between opposite genders, then make sure that you are always on the same page.
Yeah. Which I think I think it's a legitimate application of the way the phrase in Song of Solomon is repeated. Don't awaken love
before it's time.
Right? Exactly.
So guarding against that is a significant thought. Like, hey, we're not as strong and kind of robotic as we'd like to imagine when we plan for these things. When we get into them, we're very frail to our desires.
Yep. So at this point,
that's why Scripture says flee immorality, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, Ronnie.
We've been sort of talking, and I feel like applying this mostly to like high school age, thinking about dating.
Yeah,
and it seems like we've been mostly saying, like, for the most part, most high schoolers are probably not prepared to date.
Right.
They're probably not ready. Okay. As a statement. What would we say now if we started thinking about college students, young adults? That's the majority of people even listening that are thinking about, how do I do dating?
Well,
What about for them?
And
how do we talk about this?
Yeah. Can I throw in a question that might be help category set before we get there? So what relationships have a right to speak into your dating now that you're coming of age? Okay, you're 18. Let's say your parents can tell you before you're 18. At least the podcast hosts here all say, hey, yeah, they can say, I don't know if you say it, I say it.
Yeah.
No, you can tell them no or yes. Seems unwise to say yes, but I defer to people with their own children, circumstances, whatever. But when they're coming of age, now you start to go, okay, who else should be speaking into this? What do you think? Who should be speaking into a 19-year-old's dating life? Yeah.
I definitely think that your local church family, your pastors, again, the thing we were saying earlier about there's tons of people speaking into your dating.
Yeah.
It's just, are they wise people? Are they people that are speaking into dating, looking at the goal of dating or not? Social media is speaking into it.
Yeah, that's a great point. You are being formed.
Your peers are speaking into it. You're hearing and you're listening. are you also going to have wise inputs or not? And so, yeah, I would say your parents. I would say if you have godly friends, I would say your church.
Okay, so let me ask it this way to you, Natan, hearing what he said. Who should, at least generally, have the right to tell you, I don't think you should date that person?
I'd say your parents, if you have godly parents, right? I would include pastors in there.
I don't want you to ask me. Just kidding. I looked right at the camera. But keep going. I'm teasing.
Submit to your leaders.
Yeah.
Right? I would personally, and this one is going to be a bit controversial, but I'd say the other person's parents.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to add in there. Yeah.
If they come to you and say, I do not want you to do this. Depending on the situation, and if they are godly people, or whatever, and then you can ask, follow-up questions about, okay, is it a question of how long? Is it a question about my situation in life right now? I have a job, I don't have a job, I have finished my career, I haven't finished my career. Right. If you can trust them or if you cannot trust them, if you can kind of understand that their intentions are good. So it's not like a black and white.
But a general rule of thumb, you'd say parents, spiritual authority, the pastoral authority in their local church,
right,
and the other parents, the potential in-laws.
Right.
Anything you'd add to that?
No, I think
friends. I would add friends, good, solid, biblical friends. Not to tell you you should not, but you should listen. Like they're not gonna set a law, a rule.
Yeah.
But if you have two very best friends that you absolutely trust in every single way, and they can truly tell you, hey, that's not good for you.
Yeah.
I would absolutely listen.
Right. Yeah. So obviously, go ahead.
I think it's just different of like who do you have to listen to versus who should you listen to kind of thing.
Which, go ahead.
No,
I was just gonna say I'm not sure that it's tough for me to say you have to listen to anyone in this other than if the people that we just mentioned or friends, parents, pastors were bringing direct commands from the scripture.
Oh yeah, right.
Right.
Of course.
So have to is a tough word. I'll just confess that because I do think there's even Genesis 2, leave and cleave.
Yeah.
The description, the Bible does not present our individualistic culture's vision of like no one can tell me what to do. This is just my decision, right?
Yeah.
But it does indicate that these two people are forming a new household.
Yeah.
And there are some times where I feel like Christians can get into the courtship circles a little bit so strongly that they almost forget that it's like, oh, wait, if a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, I mean, isn't there some...
You could be...
isn't there agency there,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Two people could be getting married or could be walking towards marriage in a way that the Lord looks down on and smiles.
Yeah.
But one of the sets of parents doesn't approve of.
Correct,
That could be happening.
Oh, especially in different cultures. Our culture has so, for the most part, erased the very flagrant caste systems and class systems so that you don't find that as much. But I guarantee you there are Christians in India who are considering a marriage across castes.
Yeah, different social classes.
And it's unbiblical, and they're having to figure out, what do I do?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said, so these godly parents and stuff, godly parents, godly pastors that are giving you biblical advice.
But I think you should warrant that. Okay, so not have to, but let's say, the exception, it's going to be a rare exception when you disregard them, and the exception proves the rule. Generally, you listen to them. Anybody else you'd add?
No.
Okay. So getting parents' permission to date seems like a wise thing.
Right. I think for me, it's connected to the question, who should you date?
Okay.
Because they're speaking into that?
Because they should be speaking biblically and wisely about that. If they're not speaking biblically and wisely about that, then forget it. Right? If they're not speaking biblically and wisely about that.
Yeah.
But they should know, because they're older, to speak biblically and wisely about who should you date.
Right.
You want to answer that question? Who a Christian 21-year-old
right.
Person, who should they date?
David?
You go for you. Well, somebody of the opposite sex, somebody that is a believer. All right. So don't missionary date. It's my opinion that is, if dating is an investigation, it's preparation towards marriage. We're pursuing that. Can two walk together unless they've agreed to do so? The scripture forbids a believer from marrying an unbeliever. And therefore, I would say dating an unbeliever is at least unwise. It seems very foolish.
Same thing we've said. It's dangerous. What if your heart gets so tied to this non-believer that then you cannot say no to marriage because you're so tied? So it's very dangerous.
Okay, who else, Ronnie?
So a believer of the opposite sex.
Well,
A believer of the opposite sex.
And then the last one I would add is somebody that has the understanding of the goal being marriage, like you, and is ready to start investigating that.
Yeah.
If there's a believer that's like, hey, I understand that that's what the goal of this is, but that's not what I want dating to be yet, or I'm not ready to investigate marriage yet, then it's probably the wrong timing.
Correct.
Maybe the right person, wrong timing kind of thing.
Yeah.
In this American individualistic 2025 culture, just because of that, I would add a believer who is growing in the faith and is committed to a local church.
Those would be evidences of, well, that's the connected to what I was going to say too, is the advice that I'll give people that are like, they're dating and they're trying to figure out, they're asking, are we ready to get married? Should we get married? Is sometimes in that question, people are like feeling like, well, I mean, I have to have reached this level of sanctification and maturity that they're not going to reach for 10 more years before I could get married, right? And or they're expecting, or they're thinking I have to be somewhere that actually, like, you know, being married is what's going to get you there in terms of the growth, right? But some people are not taking seriously enough that you have to be mature enough, and you have to be the kind of person that started to show that you can make a commitment like that and keep it, being married.
Yeah.
So there's this trajectory of character, and there's this moving towards maturity that you want to see in somebody. That is like, okay, you've kind of moved down the path towards marriage, and you've shown that you're the kind of person that I could see making a commitment like that, understanding what that commitment means, and being able to keep it.
And that's kind of where the dating courtship, people talk about the language of courtship, which I kind of think that in American culture, they just mean some kind of like disciplined approach to dating. In fact, I had a member of our church say, I don't like the word dating at all because it's so laced with our culture's wrong applications.
Yeah, the entertainment.
That I'd rather just be countercultural and talk about courtship. But they certainly don't live in a culture that has, kind of houses that have authority in the same way as maybe some places in history. So, I would think that this is where you invite people in. That's what I was thinking about courtship. Is like, okay, is it just me at 19 able to see this person's character and figure out, are they on a good trajectory to be building a life with?
Right.
Well, shouldn't I then, if this is a project investigation, doesn't it make my parents' opinion really exciting, not just a checkbox?
Yeah.
Because I'm going, well, wait. Somebody can time lapse, 40 years in the future and tell
somebody
me.
Who's been married too.
Yeah, they've been married and they know how hard it is. And the pastors, they've seen the patterns, or maybe they even know, frankly. I get nervous about pastoral authority because I know we got to be careful how we use it. But I think you're right. Like, well, wouldn't you want to know if somebody behind closed doors is dealing with really profound problems that they've shaded you from? So you invite those in to inform you, like, oh, the character's here because Proverbs 18:22, he who finds a wife finds what is good and receives favor from the Lord. I think all three of us can testify, like, this is a big deal for your life. What else? Who should you date? What were you thinking of when you asked Ronnie that?
So I was thinking, we did one episode on the will of God, right?
Yeah.
And young men, college age, when they're or graduated and older, and they're starting to think about marriage, they're like, oh, I want to know the will of God.
Yeah.
And there's kind of expecting God to show up in a dream or a voice or something.
To tell them like this person.
Right.
Right.
Like, yes, Mary is the one, and that's probably not going to happen.
Happened for Joseph, but that's it. Mary is the one. So stick with it.
Right, exactly. So then I would say, okay, what does the Bible say about it? Well, the Bible says that you need to marry a believer. So, well, I'm going to date a non-believer and expect a way for that to become a believer. That's what's very unwise, So you're gonna date a believer that is growing up in the faith, right? So like if it's a completely new believer, I'd say, hey, give her or him a couple of months to grow, right? Member of the local church, I say it because hopefully when you get married, you're gonna plug yourself into the local church, right? So if the other person not ready to plug in the local church, what you're gonna do?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah. Your life will be tangled up with it.
So I think all of those things the Bible says.
Yeah.
After that, I'd say Proverbs 11:14, multitude of counselors, there is wisdom. So if you want wisdom, multitude of counselors, right?
Yeah.
And then I'd say in this investigation process, I mean, there's a few things that you should probably agree upon. But I mean, people change so much when they get married. So
Yeah.
it's like, we need to agree and have common grounds on all of these things. And like, you are going to disagree on them in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
of marriage. But yeah, I'd say talk about
It's almost like there's a way that we can like way overthink and overcomplicate it, and like it's like you can way overdo it with like, is this person the right one? And then there's also this equal thing of way underestimating what marriage is and how important it is, and the way that we date.
Right.
So
That's I was thinking about that too. Dating way too long is another plague in our culture.
Dave,
because it seems like you're going to go figure out, oh, it finally works easily. Like sin's been removed from the equation and now we should get married.
Right.
No.
there's almost like a magical thing as soon as you sign that marriage certificate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you say, I've been dating, for 10 years. It's commonly known in Spain, the queen right now, Letizia, she's divorced and then married the king. And her previous relationship, she dated a guy for 10 years. They got married and they divorced in one. So it's like, man, when you sign that marriage certificate, when you say, okay, this is for life, something really changes. So that's why I was saying, talk about all of these things. But Dave Ramsey normally says, hey, before you marry someone, the financial guru, Dave Ramsey says, you need to talk about finances, you need to talk about children, you need to talk about religion, and you need to about something else.
Yeah.
I'm like, sure, go for it. But it's not like someone is going to make a promise, hey, this is my position, I'm never going to change it. No, they might change it.
Yeah.
Right.
You're still married.
But you should read the warning label, at least if they give it to you. That's what I would say is if you have somebody, take them at face value.
Right.
So a lot of ladies have made bad choices in their life thinking they can change a guy. Right. And, that is so people do change. I agree with you, Natan, and I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just thinking it's also a bad thing to think, well, I'll get into this praying for that change.
Right. No, I was I was saying the complete opposite.
Right. Yeah.
Like you're gonna get married, and then that person's gonna change.
Right.
Yeah.
For the worse sometimes.
Yes.
For the
they're gonna struggle. You're
better,
gonna see the ugly sides of it.
And you're married.
You're in.
Yep.
So like if you talked about finances and you both agreed on how to spend money, and then 10 years into the marriage, because of whatever reason, someone goes into a downward spiral of debt.
Right.
Well, you're married. It doesn't matter what you agreed before.
Yeah. You said we wouldn't do this.
Yeah.
Well, anything else?
I was gonna say it seems like we've talked a little bit about in this investigation process some ways that we sometimes aren't discerning enough or critical enough. Right, and actually, like having a high, we need to have a higher standard for who we're looking at and all that. What about on the other side? Can you see any ways of falling into the other ditch of being too picky? Like I'm investigating, but you're being too picky with this person. How would that play out?
Right.
Man, you got an idea? Because I feel like we're doing that. There's a lot of that going on. Is the younger generations be too very risk averse? Okay, they want to be sure it works.
Yep,
and they are way overestimating their ability to foresee the future.
Okay.
Like, oh, what about all these things? I have to know them all? And I remember I had a guy pull me aside when we were in college and tell me, how Abby wasn't going to be the right fit to be a good pastor's wife because of this, that, and the other. And, you know, it was horrible advice. I thankfully had good parents and had been taught, and I kind of knew right away, like, what are you talking about? But, you know, people always have these weird, you know, think they have more insight than they do in the moment. And I think there's more simplicity to just like, okay, I don't know all that much. That's scary, but I can trust the Lord. And now I'm going to step forward with the kind of things he tells me to obey and do. Yeah. And I think our generation now might need to just feel like, oh yeah, quit kidding yourself that you know you're not going to actually figure out the whole side of this person. You're going to have to trust the Lord. Yep. So don't disbelieve what they're showing with the fruit. But if you see a Christian growing and serving and you talk through some meaningful things and your parents are there, then just quit waiting. Get after it.
So the too picky because you're risk averse. I think there's also a way.
Yeah, what else do you think?
People can be too picky because we're so used to being able to have so many options and curate the best thing. Yeah. Like that is just what the media age is. Like we just have so many more options than anybody's ever had for everything. For what to eat and what to watch and what to wear. And it really does train you to be like, okay, I want to keep my options open. I want to get the best deal. I want to right. And I think that really just it can shape us to hold out on committing to somebody because we're like waiting for somebody better to come around.
Yeah, another reason I think we're delaying that way is both sexes have been materialistically shaped to prioritize their career. Okay, it's the trajectory of a productive life is not in the whole context of the creation mandate. So work is supposed to be productive, but we're supposed to make households and make children as an essential part of what God's called us to. And you've got hosts of men who are thinking, well, dating's a convenient way to have some sex and companionship, but also really prioritize making the gains I want. And you've got a host of women now, in feminism that have eroded the idea that Scripture says very clearly one of your chief arena of productivity is to be busy at home. And instead it's like, well, let me push that down towards after I get my career established enough that I could get maternity leave. And both sexes are really, I think, delaying marriage and solving that by some kind of dating, right? I still get to be around people. I still get to, or maybe I just make the excuse I have to date them forever. When in reality, we should be expecting to get started in our home and our career at the same time, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. That's what I
was even just thinking, isn't the language of Genesis 2 says, be fruitful and multiply, so have children and subdue the earth. Yeah. So actually the subduing the earth, the working, just at least in the phrase, comes after that. And at the very least, it's right, bang, bang, right together.
Well, yeah, and generally what you see is people who are married do better anyway in their careers because they're working two or better than one.
Yeah.
You know?
So with this idea of being too picky, you've heard about the list, right? Like make a list. I was given that advice when I was in college.
And start praying for that list.
Make a list.
Find that person.
And the advice I got was the silliest things. I mean, I guess they seem important for the person. Like you probably want a woman that plays the piano. You know?
Right. That's why they said Abby wasn't going to be a good pastor's wife. She didn't play the piano.
Isn't that crazy? My so you
goodness.
Make the list. And
so stupid.
And I would absolutely advise against the list, except believer, growing in the Lord, local church member, right? Because if when you get married, your sentence, I love you because is followed by one of these silly things. Like, man, I really love you because you're a great pianist. Mm-hmm. Man, I really love you because you can run 5 miles in whatever appropriate amount of time is. I don't know.
Insert time here.
I don't think I could even ballpark it. 5 miles in
You've been running
20 minutes?
20. Hold it. 4-minute miles at a time?
I got no idea.
Olympic.
You can divide.
Level.
I got no idea.
Olympic level.
When I go running, I go running songs. It's like I'm gonna run for 4 songs.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, so what if that goes away when you're married?
Yeah.
Like, I love you because you're a great pianist. Horrible car accident. you know, surgery,
or just no time to play the piano.
both ends, no time to play
Yeah.
the piano.
Yeah.
Right. It really does
You
start to
know?
get into your vision of marriage. Dating starts to.
Can't run anymore.
Yep.
That's why I would say your sentence, "I love you," needs to be followed by "because I've decided to," or
Yeah.
"because God calls me to,"
Yeah.
and I've decided to love you,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Right, which then dating becomes this investigation that is maybe just a reasonable estimation of the risk in making that promise.
Yes.
Right?
100%
So
agree.
I'm going to make this promise not because of what you're going to exchange to me, but because I'm going to make a promise I'm going to keep. Well, the virtue of courtship or dating or whatever is really that you go, is it wise to make a promise like that to someone like you?
Right.
Right? And that's, yeah.
Can I ask you guys with your wives, was there an element? So there's that piece. Is it wise to make a promise like that to someone like you? Is there an element of, but you, I am excited to make that promise to you.
Yeah.
There's something, there is an attraction, a chemistry, an enjoying of you that makes me feel like this is going to be hard and I would like to make that promise to you. Is there a place for that?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I think that.
How would you describe it?
I don't think
we've touched on that yet. Just the
love,
the enjoying, the
excitement,
the attracting. Yeah, where does that fit into all this?
The affection, right? I don't think that that's biblically essential in the way that to make the promise. To be clear, I think that the trajectory of biblical lives and love will involve affection.
Yeah.
I think, but if you take an arranged marriage culture, that probably has some strengths in the wisdom category and the planning to build a life together and a home and all that category, and some weakness in the, hey, how does the intimacy of this union look? Our culture maybe has accentuated the emphasis on the internal intimacy without some of that wisdom, but I think they're both important. So I wouldn't want somebody getting married. I wouldn't want one of my children to be getting married without excitement about that project, because it's only going to get harder from when they get married.
And with that person. And that's where I think the friendship thing does cross over a little bit of the
attraction.
The enjoying. Friends are people that you're like, oh, I'm friends with that person, and there's an enjoyment there. And I do think the way the Bible talks, especially in the Proverbs, about just the Proverbs, Song of Solomon, and the wisdom literature about marriage relationships, there is a note of joy and excitement and affection there. Not only
duty.
Yeah, the duty of commitment, which is also there.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's after their because in most biblical marriages were arranged.
That's a good thing to add.
So that excitement and affection and thing is something you work on.
Yeah.
Because again,
that comes on the other side of commitment.
On the other side of commitment.
The adventure of building a life together.
It investment.
In this sitcom scenario that we've talked to, and I've been fascinated by this because it happens in all. My three favorite, I've said it many times, is in this order: Friends, number 1; The Office, number 2; Big Bang Theory, number 3. In all of them,
2 strikes. You're not out though. Go ahead. I won't tell. We're not going to discuss it right now, but go ahead.
In these 3, love is some weird magical thing that happens to you.
Right. We fell out of love. We fell in love.
You are not responsible at all.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, I love you. No way. It just happened, And then this investigation and this excitement on the other side of the commitment, it's completely out of the picture. It's like, no, you did date this person and wait for the love gods, Cupid or something to strike you, and then you get married. It's like, no, I'm going to investigate this person, see if I want to make that promise, and then I'm going to make that promise, and then I'm going to rejoice in this promise and in this person.
Right. Yeah. No, so you do need that affection. Yes,
of
please. It won't be there all the time, and that's where you need to be prepared if dating is only about the affection.
Yeah.
But it's great. That's a wonderful gift.
Yeah, it's gonna come and go.
Yeah, and that's it's such a gift. I mean, affection is a wonderful gift to the marriage. I'm so thankful. I really enjoy Abby. And the dating can be a sweet part of that. Learning about each other for the first time and kind of a kickstart. But I think so could courtship, so could other arrangements. What were you going to ask?
No, that was my question. What's
Yeah.
the place of affection and all this?
Right.
Yeah, attraction.
Yeah, attraction. I mean, conviction is I would say attraction is a big deal. Conviction is a big deal, meaning like, I do think that some of our purposelessness is informing our culture's struggles with this. So I think I might sound a little countercultural. I mean, I really liked Abby. I do. But
You did and you do.
I did and I do.
And you will do.
And you
I will by the grace of God. But I also remember talking to her and saying, like, I really believe God has called me to ministry. I'm setting my trajectory of my life in that direction, and you've got to make a decision about if that's the kind of life you're going to complement and help build. And I really liked her at that point. It wasn't like, from all the Disney bubbles, I wanted to marry her, right? Because we only got dating because of a lot of intense effort on my part. Abby, that's true. Okay, so, and rightly so, frankly. She's a lot worth more scaling the wall than I am. So but at the same time, I needed to have the kind of clarity to say, if this girl tells me she isn't down for that, I've got to make a decision.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Either that's not my calling anymore, or this isn't who's doing it with me.
And to me, the dating phase is the place where my old father's old phrase is like, you're single till you're married. So sure, you might not investigate with anybody else, but a girlfriend has no right over my life. No trajectory. You're single until you make vows. So even engagement, nobody has a right. People don't have to feel drug into marriage is basically what I think he's saying, right?
Yeah.
So you are single until you make vows, and then you can't be unsingle until those vows are gone.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where I'd say we've talked about getting your heart broken and kind of trying to avoid that, right?
Yeah.
Like don't give your heart. I'd say it's worth it getting your heart broken in the pursuit of marriage. It's not worth it getting your heart broken in the pursuit of recreation.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
Like if 22, 23 being too picky, right? It's like, well, I don't want to get my heart broken. Well, listen, you're gonna.
You got to take the risk. You got to take the risk.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Unless the first time you date, it's the one and it finishes in marriage, and then they'll break your heart after you get married.
And honestly, if a guy says something like that, don't you just want to punch him in the throat? What are you talking about? I don't want to get my heart broken.
Here comes
Break
David
your
with
vocal
the
cords.
Oh my
the
word.
gentle parenting of David.
Yes, gentle
I'd say
parenting. That's gentle. I was thinking about
don't be
lower
afraid
than
of
the
getting
throat.
your heart broken. Your heart will heal. Your heart is designed by God to heal.
Yeah.
You will heal. Now, so if Abby says, no, I don't want to marry a pastor, well, you would have broken up and you would have been heartbroken.
Yeah.
And then you would have healed in about a year or 2 or 10.
Yeah, that would have been brutal. I don't even want to contemplate it.
So, and then you would have pursued the next person. So, yeah, get your heart broken, but in the pursuit of something that is worth it.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Risk. And that's where we need young men. The dating problem, I know there's a lot of young women that play in this equation, but there's a lot of young men that just need to take a risk and be willing to say, like, okay, I am going to potentially get rejected when I make these initiatives towards someone else, when I pursue them. So for me, remember this verse: houses and wealth are inherited from parents, but a prudent wife is from the Lord. So that's Proverbs 19:14. You need to pray for this project. Like literally, you need to depend on the Lord, and you need to read Proverbs. Whether you're a man or a woman, read Proverbs, because I'm telling you, there's so much in the scriptures about like the companion of fools suffers harm. Well, there's really not that many places where you're more of a companion than marriage, right? So what on earth, why wouldn't you just say, I've got to know what a fool looks like. I've got to know what a simpleton, I've got to know what a wise person is. I want my children, man or woman, not just to read Proverbs 31 and go, oh, I read that one, but to be able to call fools out.
Calling fools out.
Well, no. I meant like balls and strikes, like ball, strike, fool, wise, whatever. I want them to be able to smell it quick.
Yeah.
Because the companion of fools suffers harm.
Investigation.
Yeah. If you date fools, if you are with an angry person, you become angry. If you are with And if my daughter can't smell fool on some guy, she's going to suffer harm, right? So she's got to read Proverbs all the time, and she's got to pray that the Lord would give her sight for that and listen to the word most. I mean, that's for me dating. But then back to the guys. Okay, guys, read Proverbs, and then also realize how little is said in Proverbs that is like your preferences. So on the one side, you could build a life with a lot of wonderful people that you didn't include because of some preferences.
Right.
On the other side, realize that if God didn't speak to it, it's probably within your agency to just say, yeah, I like brunettes, not blondes. Like, just make a decision and ask one out. And you I think you'll end up liking the blonde that likes you back anyway. They're always full of it when they're like, like, I don't like brunettes. It's like, because that brunette shot you down. Is that why?
Yep.
Like,
well, and I think the more that you understand and your mind is renewed from the worldly view of this to the biblical view of this, you get excited about God's design in marriage, what it is, the pursuit of it, the goal of dating. So I just think some of those other preferences get in a healthier proportion, and you're not gonna be as picky in all those things.
Right.
So you're gonna see the glory of what you're pursuing. And
I would tell parents of kids that are already marriage age to not be afraid of saying, "My son, give me your heart."
yeah.
It is a biblical statement.
So that's the parents saying that to the
Yeah,
son.
my mother, a father to the children saying, "Hey, give me your heart. I will treat it well until it is your time for you to give it to someone else."
Yeah, I'm thankful my parents drew that boundary, and I hated it then. I really am. And I think listeners are underestimating the war that we went through. Like, I know you're
We've seen
underestimating.
the podcast with your mom. We've
No,
watched that.
the
We've watched
degree
that.
of conflict that was
I cannot
50% of the good communication in my mom and I's life was on that recording. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
Like, there were 3 hours we've got along. An hour and a half of them are recorded.
Listen, I'll confess. Because the one time I can truly remember having like a super fight with my mom that I was really afraid after it. She came to pick me up to my cousin's town that was like 20 minutes from our house. And she's like, "Hey, it's time to go." And I said, "I'm not going anywhere." She's like, "It's time, get in this car." I'm like, "I'm not getting in that car." And she's like, "I'm going to tell your father." I'm like, "Tell whoever you want, I'm not getting in the car." It's a big fight. And it was because of a Polish handball player that I had met at the time in a handball tournament. You know the sport, handball? It's like
Dude,
soccer.
wow. We just went so
Yeah,
European. You could have told me like some girl or something. Polish handball.
Polish
What?
handball. It's like soccer.
If there
but
are
you play
listeners
with-
still with us, bonus points if you remember this. Like, what? in the
Handball
world?
is soccer
was
that you
Natan's
play with your
almost
hands.
love? Yes,
It's
yeah.
actually the same court.
Yeah.
And it was this Polish girl, and I told my mom, "I'm not getting this
Oh, it was
car."
a girl. I thought you were talking about like just you were a fan of somebody. Okay, your heart had been drawn. We're not getting into this. Okay.
There was a
Hey.
female.
Cross-cultural. Well, dude, how
Handball?
many handball players? I don't know what you're talking
It
about.
was a handball tournament. It's a big sport in Spain, okay? And it was an international. It was an international competition.
Like, I was thinking at first you were telling a story like, listen, Messi was in town.
No.
And I wanted to see the Messi. This is a girl you liked.
International youth team from Poland
Okay.
was playing in a town in Spain.
Oh.
And there was this girl
A Polish
I like.
handballer.
I like. But anyway, I was going to say, forget all that. Okay. I'm going to read a little bit of Romans 16 to bring us back. Okay. I'd say to young people, be creative and get yourself into a position where the possibility of marriage exists.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read
Yeah.
a little bit of Romans 16 because Paul was a missionary. He was a busy man. And this passage kind of gives me the idea if he had wanted to get married, he had options. You know, because in Romans 16, he's listing all of the friends that he has in Rome to kind of establish some rapport with the church in Rome. It's like Greek Priscilla and Aquila, my co-workers in Christ Jesus, they risked their lives for me. Right? Mary, so he knows a Mary, who worked very hard for you. Greet Andronicus and Junia, my fellow Jews. He says, greet Ampliatus, my dear friend in the Lord. And then he says, in verse 12, greet my dear friend Persis, another woman who has worked very hard in the Lord. So he has all of these group of friends in churches, in different churches and church plans and everything. And they are married men and women. There's some men, and then there's some ladies that he's obviously great friends with. And I don't remember correctly, but I think even Phoebe carried this letter, another great friend of Paul. So do you have great friends
in the church? In
the church, in other churches, if your church doesn't have any of the opposite sex, that you could, say, hey, I want to investigate marriage with this person.
Yeah, life in the local church. That's where I think dating serve somewhere on purpose as a date is a great hack. Like, hey, my college group or whatever is going to help with this project. Will you come with me? Not the most romantic, maybe that's not the first date you go on. You go out to dinner or something. Mm-hmm. But see someone in the substance of life if you're really investigating. Don't just invite them to because who doesn't like free dinner?
Do it.
Yeah. What else do you have? Any tips before we...
Proverbs 18:22. Someone read it earlier. A man who finds a wife finds a good thing.
Yeah.
And obtains favor from the Lord.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that it says one of the main things that needs to be emphasized it's a good thing, and it needs to be found.
Yeah.
You need to go find a spouse. The investigation, the pursuit, it's a good thing.
Right. And we didn't spend a bunch of time on this, but I think in principle we did. It's good to remind, again, a cultural, cross-cultural thing or countercultural thing. Purity is unavoidably and consistently stressed in the scripture.
Sexual purity.
Yes. So treat sisters with purity. Treat younger women as sisters in the Lord. But then flee sexual immorality. God's will is your purity, right? So,
and we're going to deal with that topic in a follow-up episode.
We're going to talk about sex. We're going to talk about purity. We're going to talk about these things.
Good.
But the dating crew, don't underestimate how clearly God cares about that. Mm-hmm. So you're definitely not investigating marriage well if you're eroding his clear will for someone else's life or your life, right?
And in the wisdom of God, there's things we've talked about today of here's ways that you can investigate and prepare to be married, grow in maturity towards marriage. But in God's wisdom, he says you don't need to practice sex before you get married.
Right.
That's actually something that is better if it is waited for marriage.
Right.
You don't need to prepare for that.
Right. Obedient if you wait for marriage. And we'll talk about that more in the future. Yep. And since right now, while I won't put anyone on blast, since who knows how the future goes, but currently, today, someone texted me that I helped set up, who's thinking about their dating relationships, and that relationship is going well and maybe heading somewhere. And so I'll just say this at the end of the Jesus Over Everything podcast. If you need a matchmaker,
come on!
You enjoy that way too much.
Catch me. All right? Yes, thank you.